The ready, twinkling smile is there on the face of Graeme Mazur. He might have to search harder for the right word on occasion, but he finds it. Because of what happened to him as a boy, his dreams of becoming a world-beating professional golfer stalled. But the way he now plays golf, one-handed, is something to enjoy watching. As his handicap continues to fall, he is starting to look like a craftsman at work again, and this is a seriously competitive player. His golfing focus may have changed, while he knows that golf has helped him significantly to recover from a life-changing head injury. His hugely positive attitude for the game and for life in general is testament to a great inner courage that Graeme found to recover from the trauma with the help of loving family. To be the best that he can be and to smile, the dry humour and the glint in his eye makes people want to talk to Graeme Mazur. It's a conversation worth having. In the year 2000, Graeme was a 15-year-old who was aiming high with his golf. Through his enthusiasm and graft, he got down to 10 handicap. But the members at Tenterton Golf Club in his home county of Kent felt he was already better than this figure. He had the ambition of one day turning professional, possibly following his hero Lee Westwood onto the European Tour. Graeme recalls, at the time, as for many young players, golf seemed like everything to him. He was one of those kids who would be at the club the whole day, at weekends and the holidays, spending the money he earned from his new paper round on bowls of chips and fizzy pop to keep him going on the course, playing 36 holes at a time, looking for tips on his swing in the pro shop and on the putting green, and enjoying a few 9-hole matches with the club pro himself. He was poised to enter the Kent Golf Union's county coaching programme. Graeme, now 37 years old, can tell a good story with a dry wit and chuckles at the memory.
Every week, dawn till dusk, because my dream was I was going to become pro. 9.6, fellow members down my golf club thought I should have been off 2 or 3.
Then, on Tuesday, January the 18th, 2000, Graeme set off for his morning paper round at 6:30 on his mountain bike in High Holdern near Ashford. At around 7 a.m, a car hit him full on at a junction. Graeme flying across the bonnet, his head smashing into the windscreen. He was taken to the William Harvey Hospital in Ashford in a coma, and his family arrived in panic, fearing the very worst scenario. His injuries were numerous. Major trauma to the frontal lobe of his brain, a broken back, broken ribs, punctured lung, damaged right arm, fractured right ankle. It was decided he would be transferred to King's College Hospital in London, the leading centre for head injuries. As he lay in the coma, the ambulance was required to drive slowly, and Graeme has since been told that junction 9 of the M20 had to be shut for a time to ensure his safe travel.
My impairment is I'm right-hand side semi-paralysed due to a car accident.
Okay.
I was doing a paper round and I pulled out of a blind junction and the car hit me. When I was in my coma in the William Harvey, my parents, who were great under the circumstances, they really were, and my whole family, the doctor came out and the doctor told them, have you told your son that he'll never play golf again? Have you told your son he'll never walk again? And I was like, when my parents told me that, I got so angry and so annoyed, but that gave me the motivation to prove them wrong.
He was so ill, he heard that doctors considered turning off his life support, but his parents refused and continued to hope. Friends and family rallied round to support Graeme.
Yeah, they were great, they really were. They all came and saw me up at King's College Hospital.
Yeah.
My family, they were absolutely, I couldn't praise them enough.
In his interview, Graeme, with a mischievous chuckle, joked that he would now like to find a doctor who predicted him not walking again. Maybe find him playing on a golf course somewhere and show him how well he's relearned to play golf, how his positive attitude playing with one arm had bettered the doctor's depressing prognosis. Graeme would spend a total of 6 weeks in a coma before becoming conscious again. As he lay in the ward, he could not remember the accident or the 18 days before it. his first memory being the Millennium New Year's Eve party. Graeme was then moved to Chailey Clinical Services in East Sussex, south of London, where he would have worked with specialists in rehabilitation for around 13 months to gradually regain vital functions and learn again the movement skills and the work on his speech, mental concentration and thought processes. The damage to the frontal lobe of his brain means that even today decision making, planning ahead and keeping cool under pressure can all be highly difficult for him. The brain injury also led to partial paralysis of his right side, making many tasks extremely difficult, which is why those who watch this golfer today will see a one-handed player rather than a two-handed player, albeit with a good turn and a fine follow-through as he strikes the ball. Back then, all the rehab was highly stressful to begin with, and even when progress was made, improvement was very slow, but steady. Graeme working every day for a year towards his mental and physical recovery.
When I went there, all I could do was say yes and no, and I couldn't do anything. I couldn't stand up, couldn't walk. That was really annoying.
Yeah.
Especially when all my friends and stuff like that were playing golf. I couldn't. And watching the Open, my rehab unit, that was such a... That hit me, but in a positive way, because that motivated me even more to get back on the golf course. It was gradually, every single day, I could see like tiny improvements. Now it's semi-paralysed, but I can walk, because I walk around the golf course. I can use my hand sometimes, to take when I'm eating a steak, for instance. I put the fork in my right hand to stab it into the steak, and then use my left arm to cut it.
When he was in hospital, someone had taken the trouble to write to Lee Westwood, and the then rising world star sent the youngster a signed golf cap bearing an encouraging message of support. This Graeme has treasured, and it is again a huge motivator to get him thinking about golf again. Something to dream for in all those months of rehab. Another factor in his rehabilitation was the great support from his school friends, and critically, the support of the teachers.
I was at Northern Ashford Grammar School for boys, and towards the end of my stay, about a month before, in my rehab unit, the head teacher came up there, which was awesome. And they accepted me back into that school 2 years below my actual age group. But only on a limited amount of subjects. I took like 5 GCSEs, and golf was still embedded in me.
His family remained key supporters. Sisters Maria and Kiri dote on Graeme. Parents John and Jenny were both geography teachers, now retired, not a subject Graeme was excited by. He knows where the key destinations like St Andrews and Augusta, Georgia are, but he leaves the maps to others. Graeme was able to study accountancy in college, and he chuckles when he informs you that he passed a health and safety certificate that he seems to think is a little ironic. Golf remains his chief focus for now, as he considers the future. Life has changed for Graeme Mazur, but you only have to spend half an hour in his company to be uplifted by his positive approach, and engaged by his laugh and his humour and philosophical outlook is sprinkled into the conversation. Sometimes he'll pause to recalibrate the words he needs, but he gets there. Not every time on the golf course, however, due to the legacy of the injury.
Which involves decision making, problem solving, kind of thinking ahead, which is where golf is a great asset to have, because you've always got to think ahead.
While golf has challenged him in this area, its focus clearly helps him on the mental side. By encountering these issues on the golf course, he works every day he plays to improve here, just as he did in rehab.
It's getting better. It's not like it used to be, but it's getting better.
When making his comeback in golf, Graeme started swinging with 2 hands, but he felt his right arm was flailing, and he was taken on by a Kent disabled golf specialist, Gary Basson, who he describes as absolutely superb. Then he moved on to Patcherson Golf Centre, helped by Carl Spurrier, who is now a coach based at Leatherhead. Graeme thinks the world of Carl, and he remains his go-to coach. By the time they met, Graeme continued to address the ball in a right-hander stance, but just using his left arm with a backhand strike, which he describes as the world's best idea, even though it was tough to start with, as he was topping, shanking, with a few air shots thrown into the mix.
But part of my game, which was the worst before my accident, is now the best.
Oh, right.
Putting.
Right.
I was absolutely shocking at putting prior, before my accident.
Graeme also puts one-handed, and this and his wedge play are perhaps his strengths on the golf course at present. Because of the nature of the injury, golf has offered him mental and physical therapy and excellent social connections. He switched clubs to Chart Hills in Biddenden in Kent back in June, and he loves it there. Some time ago, Graeme also earned his PGA Level 1 coaching badge, so he can help others to coach the game. This year, Graeme has become a more motivated person than ever. When he moved to Chart Hills, his handicap was around 22, as he set about building far greater all-round consistency. Graeme plays or practices 5 or 6 days a week, and at the time of writing, plays off 15.6.
It did, yes, but I've still got to work hard.
Yeah.
I go down the practice ground at Chart Hills, which is my club at the now.
Okay.
I go down there and practicing because my long game, my iron game is really pretty good.
Yeah.
It's just I've got to keep on practicing on my short game and my driving.
Another key motivating factor to his improvement has been the desire to compete in golf tournaments for players with disability. On the one hand, in England Golf's English Disability Open, he won the Stableford Trophy this summer, and also in a number of Edgar tournaments. He has climbed up the world ranking for golfers with disability and was in the top 20 in the Stableford division, which qualified him for this September's RSM European Playoff Series, where Graeme was one of 16 Edgar golfers who played in the final at Stratford-on-Avon Golf Club. Graeme said he has loved the competitive spirit and the camaraderie of these events.
They're great. See, this may be naive, but I did not realise you can actually play golf with one hand. Well, except me, but I knew you could play golf with one arm, but with one leg, with no legs, with using the electronic trolley or electronic. What are they called?
Power golf.
Power golf. They
amazing.
Put you up. It's like, wow. See, you can play golf no matter what disability you've actually got, which I think is another awesome thing.
Graeme appreciates how the tournaments lead him to a greater understanding of the emotional and practical lives of each of his fellow players.
Because that way you can learn about other disabilities and you can nitpick other people about their disability that they've had.
Yeah.
Because every single disability is different. So you don't know what the hell you've got.
That's right.
In front of you.
Yeah,
until you ask questions. You see, it's a sport. You can play, either there are 8-year-olds playing or 80-year-olds playing. It doesn't really matter.
No, that's a great thing.
That is a great thing about golf.
It is fantastic.
And also, due to the handicap system, everyone is on a level playing field.
Yeah.
This inclusive message from Edgar and all supporters of golf for the disabled is great for making the whole game more inclusive and welcoming, says Graeme.
100%.
Yeah.
Totally. But I know golf isn't played by many disabled people, but that's a route Edgar is great at, in getting it played by a more inclusive set of people.
Yeah.
I think it's awesome.
Graeme was talking to us during the RSM playoffs. He had qualified in the Stableford division of 8 players and had just enjoyed a 6-4 win in his quarter-final. He would go on to get to the final, where he would finish runner-up after a close match with Miroslav Halmo of Slovakia. In the clubhouse, Graeme was cheerful and friendly company to the players from across Europe, but in interview, he would be philosophical on both how golf can be never mastered and why as a sport it can be so good for those who play.
This is really funny, but golf can only be 9 out of 10. You can always, there's always a little bit more to improve. Yeah. And what I do, I always stand on the first tee saying, I'm going to beat this course today.
Yeah.
But there's one thing you cannot beat in golf. That is the golf course.
Asked what advice he would offer to a family who might have to cope with a similar injury to a son or a daughter, Graeme believes encouragement is the key to building confidence.
My advice to give him and his family would be, whatever he chooses to do in life, be it work, sports, golf sports, anything, just back him, because they don't actually know what their child is capable of. Pull off the reins and let them do what they want to do. Something that they think, nah, they can't do that. They can actually do that and do that better than most people.
Graeme in part puts his highly positive outlook down to the work that he's done in recent times with his psychologist, Walter Busittil, gaining further strength as he looks ahead.
He is such a cool guy.
Yeah.
And everything he always says kind of leaves me with a bit more positive thoughts.
Graeme remains ever grateful to his family, his coach Carl Spurrier, and his new extended group of friends at Chart Hills Golf Club.
Yeah, my mum, dad, my two sisters especially, well, those four especially, because without them I could never do this. And I'd like to thank all the staff and members at Chart Hills for backing me in these events.
For 2022, Graeme has specific aims of improving his accuracy with all clubs in the bag and to get down to 10 or 12 handicap. He also wants to get as high up in the net category of the WR4GD as possible so that he might compete for a place in possible Edgar DP World Tour events where players with a disability share the same playing ground as some of the world's most famous players. Graeme says learning golf is all about persevering, working a little every day. This he had to do every day of his year of rehabilitation, but also onwards from there. Every day. That's all you can do, he says. Persevere. And if you can do this with a smile, the odd chuckle, and with a glint in your eye, people will want to hear your story.